Hey there, I'm Alicia. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be going over all of the books that I plan to read in the month of March. Let's get into the video. First of all, I can't believe it's already March, but I'm really excited because spring is one of my favorite seasons. There are cherry blossom trees that we have here in Portland. We also have these beautiful tulip fields that I haven't seen since I first moved here back in 2019, so I might go check them out. So anyways, welcome to today's video. We're just going to be going over all of the books that I plan to read in March. I want to treat this month's TBR as a pile of possibilities. I am going to try to get through all of these books, but I also want to mood read a little bit more. There's a couple of projects that I want to embark on. One of them is reading all of Silvia Moreno Garcia's backlist. I've already read quite a few of them, like Velvet Was the Night, The Daughter of Dr. Moreau, Mexican Gothic, Gods of Jade and Shadow, and then I forgot the name of it, but the one about vampires. So she is coming out with a book later this year, which I do have an arc for. I will be reading during a vlog. And then I also still need to read Beautiful Ones and Untamed Shore. But before I get to the new books, I want to go back and reread her old books and then possibly rank them and just give you my overall thoughts on Silvia Moreno Garcia's writing and her approach to writing. So hopefully I can start that this month. I want to make some more dedicated videos like that with different authors. Another author that I can think about is Tiffany D. Jackson and then Colson Whitehead. So there's just a couple of authors whose backlist I really want to read and I want to get started on that project. I'll probably make a video about it, about which authors I hope to focus on this year. So given all of that, the books on this list are more of a pile of possibilities. Let's start off with the books that will be rolling over from my February TBR. I didn't realize at the time when I made my February TBR that February is a short month. I always forget that February is very, very short. So there are a couple of books that I didn't finish that I really hope to finish this specific month. The first one of those is Fiebre Tropical. This is by Juliana Delgado Lopera. And in this book, we're following our main character, Francisca. She was uprooted from her hometown in Bogota and she moves to Miami, Florida, and she feels alienated in this new country, rightly so. But she starts to feel a little bit more alienated when her mom, and I believe it's her aunt, join this church. Eventually, Francisca starts going, and there she meets Carmen, and I believe they start to fall in love. So I think it's a story that's going to focus a little bit on immigration, but more so on how to adapt to moving to a new country, how to navigate your first crush, and especially queerness within the Latinx community. So I'm really excited for this. The next book on this list, which I unfortunately didn't finish either, is A Clash of Kings by George R.R. Martin. This is the second book in A Song of Ice and Fire, and I made it, as you can see, about 25% through the book. The live show for this, I believe, is March 4th or March 5th. So I still have 2 days of February left. I'm hoping to try to squeeze it in before the month ends. If I don't finish it in February, this is probably the first book that I'll prioritize just so that I can attend the live show. Okay. So moving on with the rest of my TBR, I hope to read A Storm of Swords. This is the third book to A Song of Ice and Fire. I am reading this series as part of the read along here on BookTube. I'll link the announcement video down below. The books just keep getting longer and longer. That's fine. It's fine. We're gonna make it through. I'm actually really enjoying this series as a whole. I like George R.R. Martin's writing style. I love multiple POV stories with political intrigue, so it has been quite the ride. So I guess without giving too many spoilers to the series, this is just a continuation of book 2, and we have people vying for power. That's really all I can say without spoiling anything. So the next book that I hope to read in the month of March is The House of Eve by Sadeqa Johnson. I ended up reading this author's debut novel last year, Yellow Wife, right at the beginning of the year, like right in January, and I really enjoyed the way that she tells stories and her writing style. So now that she's out with her new release, I definitely want to pick it up. So House of Eve is set in the 1950s in both Philadelphia and Washington, D.C. And we're following 2 separate women. We don't know how they're connected or if they're connected at all. But in the first POV, we're following Ruby, and Ruby is on track to become the first Black girl in her family to attend college. And this is something that she really wants. She is part of this program that helps low-income Black individuals get into college by giving them the tools that they need to be successful. However, she might be thrown off track when she engages in this taboo love affair with this Jewish white boy from her neighborhood. In the other point of view, we are following Eleanor. Eleanor is a dark-skinned black woman who is attending Howard University. She does not come from a wealthy family, and so she doesn't take for granted being at this university. She has to work multiple jobs in order to continue to fund her education. Now, things take a turn when she meets William. William belongs to this elite, wealthy black family, and the circles that William runs in, including his own parents and the people that they associate with, tend to look down on darker-skinned and low-income black individuals. So that's really all that I know about this book. I don't know if the two points of views will come together, but I'm really excited to find out how it all ends. The next book that I hope to read in the month of March is called The Survivalist, and this is by Kashan Cauley. I do believe that this is this author's debut novel. I love reading debut novels and finding new authors, so I'm hoping that this one is going to be one that sticks for me. So in The Survivalist, we're following Aretha, who is a successful black lawyer who is looking to become a partner and just keep climbing that corporate ladder until she meets and falls in love with this guy named Aaron, who is a coffee entrepreneur. For whatever reason, she decides to move in with him and his roommates. And from what I can gather, Aaron's roomies are wacky. They are doomsday preparing, bunker building roommates, and Aretha doesn't know what she's getting herself into. It was compared to Sadeqa Heiress's The Other Black Girl and The Sellout by Paul Beatty. So hopefully The Survivalist is one that I will really enjoy. Okay, so the next few books that I'm going to talk about are books that I will really need to get to sooner rather than later, and I am hoping to make dedicated vlogs for them. I don't actually know how I'll be grouping them together because they're quite different from each other. The one thing that they do have in common is that they're all written by Latinx authors, however, they're all in different genres. And I do have arcs of all of these books from Netgalley. So the first book on this list is a young adult fantasy book, and this is Lucha of the Night Forest by Tehlor K. Mejia. This comes out on March 21st. And this is potentially the one that I know the least amount of. The synopsis doesn't give you too much, which is kind of nice because then I can be pleasantly surprised when I read it. So according to Goodreads, this says, an edge of your seat fantasy about a girl who will do anything to protect her sister. Dark forces, forgotten magic, and a heart-stopping queer romance makes this young adult novel a must-read. A scorned god, a mysterious acolyte, a forgetting drug, and a dangerous forest. One girl caught between the freedom she always wanted and a sister she can't bear to leave behind. There we go. I mean, I'm intrigued. The next book on this list is one of my most anticipated books of the year, and that is going to be The Haunting of Alejandra. This is by V. Castro. Now, this is actually going to be my first book by V. Castro, but this focuses on La Llorona. La Llorona is just such an integral part of Latinx folklore. I grew up hearing stories of La Llorona from my family members. I have my own story of La Llorona from when I was little, and I just can't wait to freaking read this book. It's gonna be fantastic. I already know it. The Haunting of Alejandra by V. Castro, in case I forgot to mention, will be published April 18th. So the next book on this list is a romance book. This is Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez, and this will be published April 11th. I believe Abby Jimenez is a pretty popular romance writer. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not a super big romance reader, but this is a book that I really wanted to read. I'm trying to dip my toes into romance a little bit more. I want to find out if there are tropes that particularly work for me. I tend to read a lot of dark and heavy stuff, and sometimes I just really need a break from that. I need something that is cute, something that is soft, something that will tug at my heartstrings. And I don't necessarily love very whimsical stories, so I thought the romance genre would be particularly good for me to dive into when I do need a break from the more heavier stuff. So, I have no idea what Yours Truly is about, but I will read you the synopsis on Goodreads. Dr. Brianna Ortiz's life is seriously flatlining. Her divorce is just about finalized, her brother's running out of time to find a kidney donor, and that promotion she wants? Oh, that's probably going to the new man doctor who's already registering 80 freaking 7 on Brianna's pain in my ass scale. But just when all systems are set to hate, Dr. Jacob Maddox completely flips the game by sending Brianna a letter. And it's a really good letter, like the kind that proves that Jacob isn't actually Satan. Worse, he might be this fantastically funny and subversive likable guy who's terrible at first impressions. Because suddenly he and Brie are exchanging letters, sharing lunch dates in her sob closet, and discussing the merits of freakishly tiny horses. But when Jacob decides to give Brianna the best gift imaginable, a kidney for her brother, she wonders just how she can resist this quietly sexy new doctor, especially when he calls in a favor she can't refuse. So from what I gather, this is going to be a hate to love romance. I will cautiously go into this book for a couple of reasons. First is that I haven't particularly found a hate to love romance that I've really enjoyed. We go from these characters really hating each other and having nothing in common to all of a sudden getting along really well without really getting to know each other, and for some reason that bothers me a little bit. So we'll see. And okay, so the last book on this list is going to be The Cuban Heiress. This is by Chanel Cleeton, and this book will also be published on April 11th. Now, Chanel Cleeton is a repeat author for me. I ended up reading The Last Beautiful Girl in Cuba, something like that. The Most Beautiful Girl in Cuba. What's the name of that book? Okay, so I ended up reading The Most Beautiful Girl in Cuba by Chanel Cleeton maybe 2 years ago. She is an author that writes mostly historical fiction, and I did enjoy The Most Beautiful Girl in Cuba, so I thought I'd go ahead and pick up her newest book, which is The Cuban Heiress. So according to the synopsis on Goodreads, this is set in 1934. A luxury cruise becomes a fight for survival as two women's pasts collide on a round-trip voyage from New York to Havana. New York heiress Catherine Dahan seemingly has it all. There's only one problem. It's a lie. As soon as the Morro Castle leaves port, Catherine's past returns with a vengeance and threatens her life. Joining forces with a charismatic jewel thief, Catherine must discover who wants her dead and why. Elena Palacio is a dead woman, or so everyone thinks. After a devastating betrayal left her penniless and on the run, Elena's journey on the Morro Castle is her last hope. Steeped in secrecy and burning desire for revenge, her return to Havana is a chance to right the wrong that has been done to her, and her prey is on the ship. As danger swirls aboard the Morro Castle and their fates intertwine, Elena and Catherine must risk everything to see justice served once and for all. So it's set in the 1930s on a cruise. It's about revenge. There's a mystery. Someone is plotting to kill someone. I'm here for it. I know that this is going to be a good time. So those are officially all of the books that I plan to read in the month of March. I might pick up a few books here and there as I do mood read through the month of March. Let me know down below what you're planning to read in the month of March. If you've made it this far, leave a flower emoji down below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.